Yeah.
So I think that does that put us live on Twitch now?
Yes. Yes, we should be live. I'm checking YouTube real quick, making sure that's going.
I am. All right. I am watching us on Twitch from my other account. Look at that.
Twitch is working, but YouTube is not.
All right, we can troubleshoot for a second while we're live. People will be showing up in just a second. We'll keep an eye on the chat.
Let's check here.
Well, I should probably turn
There
my
we
lighting
go.
on. Boom, boom, boom.
Go.
I didn't seem like it fixed my lighting issue at all. There we go. There it is.
All right. Yeah, looks like we're live on YouTube as well now. All right. Yeah. Cool. Looks like everything's functioning. We'll start this video up here.
Yeah, and we'll get to talking about some Dune in our beta weekend impressions.
So what we played the whole beta weekend. They had a couple days, 3 days, 4 days, 3 days, right?
Yep.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Or no, 4 days. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Yeah, I think it went all the way through to Monday, I believe. So.
It was an extended weekend, extended Dune weekend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I was not instantly, but I was sold on the game. You know, at first when we first loaded in, probably. You know, I think we're gonna get into like a structure here. We're gonna talk about our impressions on everything specifically. So if you're just joining us now on Twitch, yeah, we should probably start there before we get into our impressions on the game and the weekend. We're gonna talk about all the days we played and kind of how far we got. Let's tell everybody where they can watch us. Right. So you said we're live on YouTube.
Yep, we're live on YouTube and on Twitch. I got the YouTube link right here. Guess we can cross share them, right?
I think so. It sounds good. Yep. So we're gonna be doing this every weekend probably, and maybe more. We're gonna be talking about Dune, what we did that week. You know, what we're playing, how our guild's doing, things like that. Maybe we'll be doing some tips and some guides on how to run some of these testing facilities. Like, what do they call them? The labs, testing lab, research labs,
the labs,
like
research labs. They're pretty fun.
Yep. And then they got the shipwrecks and stuff. We'll be talking about PvE and PvP, and we've done content. We've done podcasts for multiple games and just general gaming. This one caught our attention, I think, because we're both Dune fans, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or it caught my attention more, and I roped you in. I was like, you got to come play this.
Mm-hmm.
So, outside of this, though, we play a lot of League of Legends. So.
Yeah, at first I wasn't 100% sold, but you know, I enjoy gaming, so I was like, yeah, you know, we'll give it a shot. But I'm pretty much entirely sold now. I'll be playing this as soon as it comes out. I'm excited. June 5th is a release date for early access. There's 3 versions of the game. I think we talked about that in another podcast. But if you want early access, you got to buy one of the top 2 tiers. And to me, I think it's worth it. If you plan on playing the game for any length of time, it gives you a little bit of a start on claiming bases, which is an important part of the building mechanic. So I think it's actually worth a lot of pre-orders. I don't know, you stick away from, but this was fun. They even had a reasonable response on Discord. I won't say it was the most amazing response, but they told us up front, they're like, we're not going to be responding to individual issues. But bunch of disclaimers about the fact that it was a beta and it wasn't going to work. But I think it worked well. There were only a couple snags.
Yeah, I didn't experience too many issues. You know, like your regular graphical issue. Like I'd hop on a sand bike and it would stutter, and I'd be floating off the sand bike, flopping up and down. There was some graphical issues and stuff. A little lag in some areas, or we crashed once or twice. But aside from that, it really wasn't that bad.
I think the largest issues I experienced were DevOps related, would be in like server side issues, and I think they shot themselves in the foot a little bit because they initially were doing a really limited closed beta where they were emailing people and you had to have a link and all this to like get in, and then they opened it up to everyone that had pre-ordered about like 8 hours into the first day, because they had so much feedback asking for that. They're like, hey, we paid a lot for this game, let us in the game.
Yeah.
And so I think they just weren't expecting the volume of players, which is hopefully a good thing for them. Like, they got to stress test their systems a little bit better, work out more of the kinks. But I mean, gameplay overall was really smooth for me.
Yeah, it was for me too. So, and I guess like coming from other survival games like
Mm-hmm.
Minecraft or Ark Survival Evolved or Dust or Sons of the Forest or things like
Mm-hmm.
that. Um, when I first spawned into this one, I'm going to say I was a little shocked at how bland it was. I was in the desert and I was picking up flowers and I was like, okay, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. But very quickly, as you start to progress and you go to the testing zones and you interact with NPCs in the outposts and the places you can go to buy and sell stuff and other players, it quickly became a lot more interesting for me. And then I was like, and like you said, at that point I became totally sold. I did the story. You and I were playing together almost all 3 days. And so we just had a lot of fun. The two of us, we met some other players and interacted and talked with them. Mostly PVE stuff. I don't think we did. You have to PvP anybody?
No, and maybe it's just because it was the closed beta, but I don't think people were really PvPing too much, even in the PvP zones.
Hmm.
It was pretty small. I mean, at the most I ever saw around us at one time was like 4 dudes,
Hmm.
but it's a pretty big world too, and a lot of servers to play on. So that may not that may be the typical experience, or it may not when things are live. I wouldn't. I'm not ready to judge the PvP just yet, just
It's
because
like
of the volume of people.
there's another community podcast that I was checking out. There's not too many of them yet because the game's so new, but they were saying this is not a game for PvPers, right? And then I was
Mm.
watching a streamer who was streaming over the beta weekend. All he was doing was PvP. He was literally waiting at shipwrecks with two other dudes and just like hunting
Yeah,
people who showed up.
that's probably part of it too. Whenever I saw two other dudes at a shipwreck, I just didn't go. I was like, I'll be back in an hour. You'll get bored.
Yep.
But I've watched you play Eve before, and PvPers do not get bored when there's a good loot to be had.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh, we can see me getting eaten by the sandworm on the screen. How many times did you get eaten by the
Oh yeah,
sandworm that weekend?
I think I got eaten like 5 times, and most of them were consecutive. 4 of them were back to back eating.
Ouch.
Um, you do get one freebie. You get your sand bike eaten once, and they're like, "Hey, the worm's pretty serious. Watch out for it. You can have your sand bike back."
Yeah.
But after that, no more. And unfortunately, on my reroll, I had a server crash at the same time, so you know,
Mm.
I didn't get my bike.
Oh, that sucks. So what it does is it gives you the tool. It gives you the tool you need to reconstruct the bike and all the bike parts. But
uh,
it doesn't give you any fuel. So when you go to reconstruct your bike and you're running around in your boxers after that, guys, make sure that you get a fuel cell together or find one before you put the bike together, or else you have to leave your bike assembled sitting there while you go find fuel,
oh my
which happened to
gosh,
me. Watching me get eaten again on screen, which is absolutely hilarious. How
I
many
want to play
times
it
did I
back.
get? Oh, you played it back. Oh, that's
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Okay, okay. I was
For
gonna say
anyone that missed it, I wanted them to see it.
yes. I got eaten probably a similar amount of times to you. Um, at the beginning a couple times learning, how long you could stay out there, mostly for
Hmm.
testing purposes. Like I think in the actual game mode, I don't think we'll get eaten that much this time around
Mm-mm.
now that we've figured out how it works. Although each zone we went to, like the second zone seemed that the worm was more aggressive and faster than the first zone, right?
Significantly, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And by the third or fourth, there's supposed to be 9 more zones we didn't get to experience. So I
Mm.
bet you it gets way faster.
Yeah, I mean, in that first zone, I obviously play the class that you want, and you can multi-class too.
Mhm.
I don't know if maybe that's a whole other video. I don't know if that's on the top, but I did the Ben Jesuit class at first, and they have a sprint involved in it. And so
Mhm.
initially, the sandworm just wasn't an issue. The areas you needed to go to were so close that I could use that sprint to get back and forth in between the safe spots.
Did you
Um,
see did you see the visual bug with that sprint where if you sprinted right before it ate you, the worm would just dangle out of the sand and stare at you and
no, that's
smile
awesome.
and just freeze? Yes, I bet you they fixed that, but it was a
Uh,
visual bug. A couple people got on video. Yeah.
I can tell you it didn't happen to me. I tried to sprint out from that worm and it got me.
Mm.
So-
I didn't play the Benny Gesserit class, but I would like to try it out. Obviously, because I'm going to try all the classes out. But I played the trooper. No, I didn't. I played the swordsman.
Hmm.
And I thought that was very thematic for Dune as well.
Hmm.
Swordsman and Bene Gesserit are probably the most two thematic, I would say,
Yeah.
from the movies and the books.
Yeah, I think
Um,
if you're role playing, do one of those too. The other classes were of interest, but yeah.
Apparently, the Mentat one, they're saying some people are saying Mentat Bene Gesserit is like a PvP combo, but who really knows yet?
Hmm,
There's like some damage buffs and stuff you get or
I can see
something,
that.
And then you apparently in the PvP they were I was watching them do it, and they were stunning people as a Bene
Hmm.
Gesserit.
Hmm.
So they would stun somebody, and then his buddies would come and bang him. Like
Yep.
just totally kill the guy. And PvPers. I bet you there's going to be quite the PvP scene. There's probably going to be like whole PvP guilds and stuff, especially towards the end game.
Hmm. Yeah, I can see it.
Mm-hmm. Welcome to the Twitch stream, whoever just joined. We're talking about Dune Awakening. We both played it over the beta weekend. If you want to give us a follow or anything, we'd love that. We're going to be probably streaming at least every weekend and maybe some throughout the week once the game comes out as well. So, hey, yeah, back to our impressions though. So we were talking just kind of overall. We were talking classes. Um, let's see. Let's talk about the combat because that was a big thing I saw a lot of people talk about.
Yeah.
The biggest complaint was the combat is janky, or the combat sucks, or it just feels. What did you think of the combat?
I think I'll disagree with that. I enjoyed it. I thought that there was a good pacing between combat and non-combat.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you progress through the game a lot faster with combat. And I didn't find it tedious at all. I don't know. I think some people want like a VR experience. I mean, that would be dope
Mm-hmm.
if there was some combination of that. But like when combat gets so complicated that I need both hands on the keyboard and then like an extender for the mouse to be worked with my nose or something, like it's too much. It takes away from the enjoyment of the game. I felt
Yeah.
like the two or three skills, so you're allowed three skills at a time. Um, and three like passive skills at a time. So like three actives and three passives.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get the spice, you get like a little extra buff to them. And I
Do you
thought that
think
was
that
good.
was? Did you think that was bugged though? Because when you ate the spice, you were forced to have the swordsman abilities. Do you think that's a bug, and they're going to fix that, or?
Yeah. So I used it a little bit later and was able to use some other abilities. But in that first in the intro, you're only allowed to like use the swordsman stuff. And that was fine.
Okay, okay, that's good then. So it does. It's not that way normally in the open world.
Yeah, it just kind of gives you like an increased cooldown or a decreased cooldown, like a CDR effect on your skills. I think it's just not. It was the end thing in the beta. So I think when we get to the full game, we'll have a lot more to say about the spice. But it was definitely fun. Like it was fun to get it.
Yeah, because we didn't
Um,
get to use the spice. Like even though we
Not really.
harvested it, there wasn't much purpose in the beta for it.
Mm-mm.
So maybe as in the live version, there'll be more use for the spice because apparently it's supposed to be a valuable resource, but it didn't seem that valuable because we very easily just drove out to the middle of the desert and picked it up of no risk, and then came back. There was no
Yeah,
risk. The sandworm like kind of showed up later, but we just
yeah.
straight up drove out and picked up the spice when we
And we
saw
had
it.
hundreds of it, like just hundreds, like for
Yeah,
no
and it's
reason.
and the two of the things I've heard about them selling on the open market to other players was one was copies of your building, like you can scan your building and then let people
Oh, that was
copy it,
cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and the other one was spice. So I mean, we didn't. I guess maybe we'll see more of that later. I wonder how that's going to work. Like, can you clone somebody's building and then scan it yourself and
Mm,
resell it, or is that like? Hopefully, they lock that so you can only buy it from the original
yeah, it's got to
creator.
be. When we play, it just struck me. We should get two of those copy guns, and one of us should do like scout base. Like just something that could be built with like granite and scrap metal, so that we have
Hmm.
like a fabricator and like the basic tools, and then one of us
Hmm.
could have like the full base as we go section to section.
Yeah, because we're gonna
Um,
want to move, and like
mhm.
that's the other thing that's weird about this game too. In lots of survival games, we saw lots of people building huge bases in the very first area,
Yeah, and you can see
and
one actually in this clip. This is perfect timing. Let's back this up a little.
yeah, this guy built a really nice house. It's up on like sticks and stuff, um, and yeah, and
We'll get to it. We'll be here.
yeah,
There,
there's
you
a
can
lot
see
of
one in the background here.
yeah, like there's just some magnificent houses, and which was fine for the beta, but in the live version, you're going to be moving. We'll be moving out of this section very quickly, probably within a day or two, we'll be done with the second area and onto the third area looking for iron, and then the fourth area because we're going to want an ornithopter.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the fourth area, I'm just guessing is ornithopters because I saw on the schematics, so as you can learn schematics, it takes
Mm-hmm.
aluminum. And
Mm.
since
Yep.
we get iron in the third area, I figured maybe we get aluminum in the fourth area, and
Yep.
then yeah, we probably build an ornithopter. At which point, I betcha you can have a base anywhere you want and probably get to and from it, right? A lot
Yeah,
easier.
probably won't be as big of an issue. And there were no there are major trade hubs in the game, and they weren't in the beta. So I wonder if there'll be I don't think this will be a game that has like fast travel in it though. I think you'll have to like manually travel to everything every time still, which isn't
I think
terrible.
so.
It's just
I kind of
a
hope
thing.
so. Yeah. Oh no, they said there was a fast travel between the two hubs. I
Really?
didn't get. Yeah, I didn't get to
Oh.
experience it. But you know the one in the starter area where you learn from the trooper trainer, and then
Wait,
the
really?
one where, yeah, right there. There's a quick travel shuttle that takes you directly to the other outposts
What?
in the second zone. You can just
I didn't see
teleport
that.
between. I didn't either. I don't even know where it is, but I heard them talking about it on another show, and they were saying, yeah, you can quick travel between them, and yeah,
Would have saved me like 5 hours.
me too. I I don't even know who you talk to, but I betcha it's an ornithopter, right? I bet you talk to like a guy, and
There's
then
got to be one out there.
he must fly you. I wonder if you get to see the ornithopter fly over the desert. That would be cool, like to be in it, or I wonder
Mm,
if it just blacks out and teleports you. That'd be kind of lame.
hmm
So,
hmm
all right, so combat. Okay, I'll give my opinions on combat really fast.
Oh yeah,
I'm not as hateful of it as some people were, or as like concerned about it. I think it felt better than games like Ark Survival Evolved,
for
right?
sure.
And worse than games like Dragonscape. Not as clean as the new RuneScape survival game. That
Yeah,
game is like the block and the dodge roll and the parry and all that seems a little
yeah.
cleaner than this, but this kind of has the same similar concept to it. Also, they also throw in guns and I mean abilities and things too. So I'm happy enough with it. I think that you can only do so much when you allow the freedom of abilities mixed with swinging your sword mixed with blocking. You can really only clean it up so much, I think, with
hmm
current technology. I don't know, my guess. I'm not a game developer, but I think there are limitations, and I think this game is one of the best options we could ask for. I mean, I can't think of how I would personally fix it. I'm sure other people will think of that in the future. So, but yeah, so combat is not really a big concern to me, especially because like the game isn't all combat. Like maybe 25% combat and 75% doing other stuff. You know, give or take. Um, like you harvest blood and you purify it. We're watching. I'm getting just sucked into watching my own footage. The footage that we have here that we're streaming is actually us playing over the weekend, so it's our own original footage. Um, all
This
right,
is our
so
base. A lot of fun building this.
yeah, oh, that was so much fun. We did a good job. I think we're gonna get way better than what we built, but we started getting pretty good towards the end because we ran out of stuff to do. So we'll just see
Mm.
how pretty we can make it. So, oh, speaking of, that's what our next topic here on the list was base building, materials, layouts, how easy it was. What do you think?
I'll be brief because I know it's your main thing. But I enjoyed it. I usually am not a base builder. I'm an explorer and combat person. But I found myself spending a couple hours on the base and putting it all together and making it look pleasing. I think something that helped me as someone who doesn't enjoy it too much was one, there weren't multiple resources for walls. Once I unlocked a blueprint for another wall, I used the
Mm-hmm.
same resource as the previous one. That resource was easy to gather. So it wasn't like I had to spend 25 hours to gather metal to then make one metal wall. Like I could make anything the way I wanted it to look, and I could make it pretty quickly. And then the uh, items inside the base, I think, matched like thematically well with all of the like furniture themes.
The
So I think
Chome
they
theme,
did.
like we unlocked the Chome
Yeah.
furniture set, but we thought there was multiple furniture sets you could purchase at first between the two different outposts you can go to.
hmm
But
hmm
it turns out it was the same set, so you can
Yeah.
unlock the Chome set almost immediately in the game, whether no matter which outpost you go to, and that is like a shinier version, a cleaner version of the structures.
Yeah, the
Um,
first one was something like the Chome structure, and then the next one had the furniture. So I don't know if it's all Chome or if the in the upcoming ones we'll
oh,
get non-Chome stuff.
so the furniture set was at one of them, and the structure set was at one of them.
Yeah,
But they were both Chome
yeah,
upgrades compared to the normal. And like you said, they all took granite to build.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I wonder though, because in order to build, you can enhance your home's control console to build taller or wider. In
Yeah.
order to do that, you have to have iron. So I wonder if the next level of base will include iron or something like that. Or
Mhm.
at least something more than granite. I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah.
So.
Now, for those that don't love the resource collection portion, there are unique blueprints for basically everything: armor, weapons, collection things. I found a blueprint for a collection item that doubled the resources I was collecting.
Mhm.
So that was pivotal for me in the base building. When I got that, I was like, "Oh, sweet! It saved me so much time."
And I would say that like my brother had that question: how much do you have to grind to make a base? Because
Mm-hmm.
in some survival games, you have to grind a whole lot to make one wall. Like I'm thinking Ark Survival
Mm-hmm.
Evolved here because I had a lot of experience in that game, and you
Mm-hmm.
had to chop down like 4 trees to make one base. One block for your base, and you had to make like
Mm-hmm.
40 blocks for it was ridiculous. This game, you can grind for like 10 minutes, scan a couple of rocks, and build a 2-story house
Yeah.
instantly. I actually liked that though because grinding materials for a base is always one of my least favorite parts, and I
Yeah.
love building, and I love being able to break it down and build something else without feeling like I have to go grind for another hour to get those.
That was
So.
nice too. The building materials were refunded pretty much 1 to 1. There
Mhm,
wasn't really a negative to building and then tearing down, which
mhm,
made iteration a lot more rewarding.
mhm. And now you were talking about we're actually picking up gear and the looting schematics on screen, I think, right now. But you were talking about the rare schematics like upgraded swords or upgraded armor and stuff, and then you could craft that. I
Mm.
like that addition to the game because you can sell those on the market. They said too. Um, and
Mm. Yeah. Okay. So if you had a high level dungeon, the
mhm,
dungeons or the dungeons, the research bases,
yeah,
um,
let's talk about those.
they have like consistent blueprints in them. So like whatever, a specific thing will spawn in research base 2 or whatever. And
Mhm.
so that's interesting. As you get further in the game, that's probably worth more. If you haven't gone to area 9 to do dungeon number 155, maybe you're willing to pay a little bit of money for that blueprint. um, that'll be me. Like in RuneScape, I'm the dude who likes to do the big boss and get the drop, the 1 in 7,000 drop, and sell it for $100 million.
I could totally
That's
get into.
exciting
I
for
could get
me.
into that as well. Yeah, so I'll
Yeah.
be right there with you doing that kind of thing. I'm a big money maker in games, so like I will even check the market and probably do like
Mm,
buy low and sell high sort of stuff.
yeah.
Or what I'll do is I'll manipulate the market where I will. There'll be 3 of the schematic you want to sell today, and
Hmm.
normally there's
Hmm.
only 1 or 2, so I'll buy the other one out, and then I'll have the only one listed. And I'll make sure to have the only one listed, and then when one sells, I'll list one more. You know, and that kind of thing.
I
So.
wonder when they do the exchange if it'll be instanced per world,
I think they said it's across all of them. I think I recall that.
all servers.
I think so.
That'd be better.
Um, because you can switch the server you're on to go play with friends. You're not stuck in your
Hmm.
server. And I didn't get to experience changing servers, but they said like if one of your friends starts playing on Haga Basin, whatever, and you
Hmm.
start on a different Haga Basin, you can still join them. I think because there's different instances on your world too. Or can you not change worlds? Dang it, I can't remember now. Don't hold me to it. I might be wrong. Maybe you can only change instances because like our world will have our siege world. We do like they have a world and they have sieges is what they call them, right?
Hmm.
And our siege within our world, you can change between the sieges, no problem on your world. I don't know if you can change the mother world though.
Oh,
So
okay. I
maybe
see
you're
what you're
right.
saying.
Maybe the market will be world, but it'll go across all the sieges within the world.
I've paused it here. I know we have shipwrecks, but I don't think we have crash sites on the list. And just to show a crash site off in the distance,
Oh yeah, out there in the desert.
mhm, this was a spot you could gather some more advanced materials. I wonder if they'll scale it. So, like, we could get materials that were in the next zone from this crash site. I wonder if
Uh-huh.
in zone 3 we can get zone 4 materials, et cetera, et cetera.
I bet. And I also saw something. I was watching a streamer, and they were chopping up one of those wrecks,
Mhm.
and I didn't realize you can go on top of it and
Yeah,
scan the top of it. Okay, because
yeah,
I scanned the one panel on the side and chopped it open and got some
yeah.
resources. But then they would do both sides and the top. So apparently, pay attention to those wrecks when you're out there because I
Mm,
kept getting junk from it, and apparently I wasn't scanning the right spot on the wreck. I guess I don't know,
hmm.
but
Yeah, I'll have to pay more attention too.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Um, the footage I shot now that's on screen with me fighting is the final day of beta or the day before the final day. I pretty much had the best gear. I had the best gear you could get at this point. We had the upgraded swords and everything, and I had all my abilities unlocked. We'd already done the Bene Jet, not the Bene Jet. We'd already done the
It's the
Awakening.
Spice Trials, the
Yeah, the
Awakenings.
spice. Yeah, that thing, the spice trails. Um, okay, so we talked about the shipwrecks that crash out in the middle of the desert.
Yep.
Those are kind of cool. I felt actually really in danger when I went to go loot one of them and slice it open. The worm came pretty quick for me and ate me one time. So
Hmm.
I had like a bad taste in my mouth about doing those. Um, but I didn't feel that same danger when crossing the desert usually. Once you got a booster on your bike, I felt like I could pretty much stay away from that worm. I don't know that he ever ate me without me intentionally feeding myself to him for footage.
The boosters help a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the worm comes faster the more weight you have on your bike. I made that a huge mistake.
Mm.
Um, I wonder how fast travel works if you can carry materials. Because I was trying to move materials between our bases,
Hmm.
loaded up the bike, within a pound of full inventory,
Hmm.
just so I didn't get the debuff. And that worm was on me like boom. I like couldn't turn the bike around in time.
I, you know, I so when the worm eats you, you lose everything. Like
Yep.
everything, your bike, your clothing, you spawn butt naked again, and you got
Yep.
nothing. But when a player kills you in a PvP zone, you only drop half of your rare resources,
Hmm.
and I think you keep all the gear you're wearing. You drop half of and any unique blueprints. You drop all unique
Hmm.
blueprints and half of all your resources. This is what you can loot from another player. And I think something like that happens the same when you die to an NPC, because obviously an NPC kills you, but you kept all your gear and weapons, but you drop like most of your resources or something like that, or any blueprints you had. So you have to go back
Hmm.
for them. So it seems like PvP and PvE deaths work the same way, where you drop your stuff. Of course, in PvP zones, they could loot you. And in a PvE zone, I don't think they can. Do you think you can loot? Because I can throw stuff on the ground and you could pick it up. So I wonder if you can loot in PvE zones too. You just can't kill someone, you know?
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
All right, but hey, testing stations, right? We're talking about. I will
Yeah.
talk a little about exploration, and we talked about shipwrecks. No, we didn't. We talked about like the when they crash in the desert, but they're
Hmm.
actual stationary shipwrecks that are huge, and the shipwrecks
Hmm.
are PvP zones. The one in the first area in the Haga Basin is not a PvP zone. It's
Hmm.
the only
Hmm.
shipwreck in the game. They said that is PvE only. But the
Really?
second area that we went to, that shipwreck is a PvP zone, and that's where I saw footage of people killing each other.
Hmm.
Um, and they were organized too. There's like three of them, and like one guy would be doing the Benny Gesserit thing to freeze people, and the other guy would
Hmm.
jump down with a gun. And then they even tried to like bait the sandworm to come to them to eat somebody or something. These guys were terrible, terrible people. Um, uh, but hey, did you like shipwrecks better, where you go and explore a shipwreck, or did you like the testing stations better?
I enjoyed the testing stations a lot. I am the type of guy who, like in Fallout, reads every book and audio log and picks up every note off of every body.
Hmm.
And there was a lot of that type of material in those testing sites that I found interesting. And I thought that they did a good job world building with it as well. Oh, we
Hmm.
see you activating the spice here.
That's cool. Yeah, I did that footage specifically just to show it because I was like, just people want to see. Because you know what? And the stats that they released for the game from beta weekend, there was a million bikes destroyed and 500,000 things done and so many whatever, and there was only 1,200 people I think that completed the fourth trial. They said to Awakening,
Really?
there was almost nobody in the beta weekend did it, and then
Oh,
everybody I talked
I'll
to
redo
hadn't
it.
done it yet. Yeah, and I told them you got to do this, and a couple of them ran off to go do it. So I think people
Hmm.
just got distracted in the survival aspect of the game
Yeah.
and base building and looting and just enjoying it for what it was. They didn't progress that part of the story as much as maybe they could have.
Hmm.
This was a cool story. We went to one of the testing stations and we got this dune buggy. And again, everybody on the beta server, because people hadn't figured out how to get a dune buggy yet, you can't build one because you can't get iron until the next area. But we
Hmm.
found one of these things kind of broken and busted in a testing station, and we disassembled it. We sawed it to pieces, took the pieces out, and reassembled it.
Yep.
At an outpost here, and then we drove it around. I think I'm about to drive it into the desert and let it get eaten by a sandworm in the footage because I thought that was a funny way to get rid of it.
Nice. Oh yeah, this is the last day footage.
Mm-hmm. So,
So
so
we're almost to
testing.
the end. We'll replay it. We'll loop it for our next
Okay.
segment.
Okay. I like the testing stations better. Like I'm in the same boat as you. I like them better than the shipwrecks. The shipwrecks were fine. I think they are based more for PvP. Um,
Mm.
and they're more open
Really
and
good schematic in one of them that I ended up using the entire
those
game.
those probably I would guess have random schematics and random rewards as opposed to the ones I think that spawn in every testing zone, right?
No,
Was that your experience?
they had the three that I did had some static rewards.
Interesting.
Yeah, there
Interesting.
was a disruptor gun in the third one.
Hmm.
Incredible disruptor gun. It
I didn't get to use that gun. Is that like a shotgun or was it like a submachine gun?
was like a submachine gun. Oh, that was good. We'll replay you getting eaten by the worm.
That is
Um,
funny. Okay, cool. I mostly messed around with the swords for the most part. That's all. I almost used entirely swords the whole weekend.
and you see,
I
I
did.
didn't use that special sword.
It was cool. It just refunded some stamina and stuff.
Yeah.
But then I had like a rifle I used. Obviously, I had it on me, but it was
Mhm.
just like the base rifle. It wasn't like an upgraded one or anything. And I think you had all
Now,
the best guns that we were able to find.
in the difference between the two, the submachine gun is the only thing I think you could use as a replacement for the knife, the disruptor gun, because it can go
Hmm.
through shields, and otherwise people that get on you, you got no recourse. But I don't think it's a full replacement, because you can't block with it. You can still get stun locked. I feel like you have to have a little bit of mixed combat, like you have to have a knife on you at least, in order to deal with close range opponents.
Okay. So yeah, so maybe
So that's
carrying
my take.
a ranged weapon and a melee weapon at all times will be good. Now, I
Yeah.
thought that being able to mix and match abilities is really cool, right? Because you were talking about how you get 3 abilities that are actives and 3 that are
Mm-hmm.
passive. So you
Mm-hmm.
can learn all 5 skill trees and then pick and choose which abilities you want to be your 3 active and which to be your 3, and then you can switch them in the middle of the desert. Like there's nothing stopping you at any point from switching your abilities, which
Mm-hmm.
is highly customizable. Um, so testing stations, shipwrecks, the ones that crash, there's just different content in the game, plus the base building, plus the story, right? So they have storyline, like a solo player storyline you can play through, which was the Trials of AQL or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then they also have regular missions that are like achievement missions, like craft this and scout this and research this, that are
Mm-hmm.
more like tutorials. It's kind of something more like tutorial missions, but they
Mm-hmm.
go on for a
Mm-hmm.
very long time. And then they have contracts you can pick up from the outposts. So you can go
Mm-hmm.
and pick up these contracts, and some of these contracts are go craft and deliver this. They're like crafting contracts. That's cool. Like you don't get that in a lot of games. Lots of games it's always go here, deliver this, or go here, kill this, and that's it. But they had like
Mm-hmm.
crafting and building, and you could cheese the contracts by already having the stuff for it. You didn't have to
Yeah.
do it. Yeah, so that was cool too. Like, hey, I got this contract, buddy. Here, take the stuff. Just show up with it, and you can immediately get the contract and turn in the
Yeah.
contract within seconds. So I liked that
Yeah.
as well. I like that they're not keeping you on rails for this experience. It's a very open, very do what you want sort of thing, which is nice. We're getting a look right now of the inside of our base with the chome furniture and stuff you can craft. You can sit in all the chairs too. I didn't show that, but you can sit in the chairs. You can't lay on the bed, and you can't do anything with the bookshelves or anything. But whatever, And then I tried to build the base as high as you could build it in the footage here, so I ended up building it as tall as it would let me without iron. And then apparently you can get iron.
Mm.
But the okay, did want to mention one part we didn't get to see yet is the end game. What do we think's in the end game? Because they said there's the deep desert, and they keep talking about it.
Mm.
Is a total PvP zone. There's a couple of areas of PvE pockets. They said if you don't want to, but most of it is PvP. And the sandstorm hits it every week and changes it. So new outposts show up, and new mountains show up, and new things, and the sandstorm kind of wipes out all the bases that are there. So you can build, but it'll be gone after a week. But
Hmm.
also some of the best, rarest resources in the game are abundant there, and so you can fight over those areas and PvP with people. And I think it requires a ornithopter to even get to the deep desert, they said.
Hmm.
So with that, that's the PvP end game. But so far, most people I've talked to are more interested in PvE. Do we think there's going to be raids? Like, because the dungeons kind of act like flashpoints or dungeons from World of Warcraft, right? Where we go in, and you can go in with 3 or 4, 5, 6 people, and one can be a healer, and one can be a DPS, and one can be a tank. Essentially, in this game, you can do that, kind of. So I wonder if there's going to be like harder, bigger dungeons that are just like you need 8 people to take this on. I don't know. Did Conan Exiles have it?
That's literally what I was looking up. I was like, what did Conan
Because the
Exiles
game,
have?
yeah, because this game people are saying pulls a lot from Conan Exiles, and I know that would be interesting to me. I would like a lot of end game PvE content. My brother would like that. I think you would enjoy that. That we could get on and play that cooperatively together. So, while you
It
find
said
out
they
that,
had world bosses, which
okay.
are things like the White Tiger and Undead Dragon, which are legendary creatures that require coordination to defeat.
So
And they have
sandworms. We're
urges,
gonna fight. We're gonna fight
which were
sandworms.
NPC invasions on your base.
Okay.
Hmm. Okay, yeah,
Okay.
so maybe we'll see some content like that, one of the two.
Yeah. Okay. I could get into that. Let's see. I did like that you could find random stuff around the world, like sand bikes and buggies that we were able to chop up. That's kind of neat that they have that. I wonder if you'll find an ornithopter, like a broken ornithopter, in one of the next zones that you can pick up and fly,
Hmm.
because you could just claim it. You can also unclaim your bases and unclaim. You can also open your base to let other people come into it, but you can actually unclaim it and it'll just kind of go deactivated, and other people can come and use it if you're done with it and you just want to leave it behind. When it's not powered and it's in that unclaimed state, the sandstorm will slowly destroy it. Every time a sandstorm comes to the area, it'll slowly destroy it in every zone. Um, so to kind of wipe out your base over time, which I think is a good way to clean up for other people coming behind you 3 months later and trying to build a base, or new players, right? You don't want
Yeah,
them
it
being,
would be the nice thing to do for sure.
yeah. So people are talking about that first area, that Haga Basin area. If you want to rewind it and freeze it on that, we can see the map. So here they were looking at the testing station on the left, and on the right is the very first shipwreck in the Haga Basin. And then to the far left of this was the first outpost, and to the far right of this was where you do the trooper quest to unlock the trooper class. That's another thing people were saying. They were saying don't start out as a trooper. I don't think that's a big deal. I think if you want to be a trooper, be a trooper. You know what I mean?
Mm.
That's just silly.
I,
They were
I
like,
can
you
see
could,
it though, because that tutor is so early, is what they're saying.
yeah, they were saying that tutor's really early, and then the planetologist is in this zone too. So you can
Yeah,
immediately get planetology and trooper, but I don't think you could start as a planetologist, right?
I thought you could start as any class. Maybe
Maybe you
not.
could. Maybe you could. I, I remember that being able to choose from trooper, Benny Gesserit, and swordsman, but I don't
I didn't
recall.
go farther than choosing Bene Gesserit, man. And I was
You're
like,
like,
that's
that's
what
the
we're doing.
one.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the one. I
That's
might.
the equivalent of the mage class, and that's it. That's the thing I do.
I'm definitely going to spend some time playing as that to see how I like it. Maybe incorporate it with the swordsman. I
I
liked the
think mid to late
trooper
game, I'll be
zip
doing
line.
swordsman.
Yeah, swordsman was cool. The trooper has
Or
the grappling hook though.
yeah,
That was really
actually,
neat.
the trooper was pretty cool. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, let's talk about some of the gear you can get. Because I think we covered most of the topics we wanted to talk about. So let's talk about the gear a little bit that you can
Mm.
equip and some of the things. They have the a hover belt, which lets you kind of glide and hover, which was really cool. Um, and there's different versions of it, like better versions of it. And then they also have, let's see, swords, guns, hover belts. What are we missing? Obviously, the armor, head, chest, legs, boots, that sort of thing. Hello, who's doing? Oh yeah,
Uh,
we had a lot of people come through and watch the stream today so far. Usually in 2 or 3 people at a time. So that's cool. So yeah, we're gonna keep doing this every weekend. We'll be streaming, and then also throughout the week we'll be streaming too. So, and just so everybody knows, you can catch this as a podcast as well. So if you miss the stream and you're driving in the car and you want to keep your eyes on the road, we're gonna be uploading this as a podcast. You'll be able to find it at Dune Gaming.
Dune Gaming
Prop
101.
Okay, Dune Gaming 101 on YouTube and Twitch, and then just Dune Gaming on as a podcast, probably. Or maybe I'll make it Dune Gaming 101. Either way, search for it. There's not a lot of Dune podcasts out there yet, so it should be pretty easy to find
Yep.
us. And we'll start linking it as well. So.
And obviously, the content will get a little more interesting as we get closer. Maybe on the next one, we'll do lore or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Help people choose between Harkin
Yeah, you know
and
what? Yeah,
Atreides.
we could do that. We could do the lore between the Harkonnen and Atreides, and we can showcase the character creator and choosing your class, because I have footage of all of that as well, and that's neat. So
because
all
I know
right.
we're all waiting on the good stuff on June 5th, but I mean, I'll stream that live as soon as we get in on the 5th. We'll have a good time with that.
Yeah, we should. We should just stream most of what we're doing, and when you're not streaming, I'll try to stream too.
Yeah.
And when you are streaming, I'll probably be on screen with you. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so
We'll set that up.
yep.
That'll be
And then
fun.
we have a couple friends who are going to be joining us as well.
Yep.
What are your do you want to have a big guild? Because in other MMOs, I have led 300 player guilds before and organized that kind of thing. Is that something you'd want to do,
I
or do
think
you
it
think
would
you
be
want to keep it just
fun.
friends?
I think with two of us, we can manage it pretty well. I wouldn't want to put time into managing a thing like that more than a couple hours a week, honestly. And that's what keeps me from running larger guilds, just because it becomes a time suck. It's like a customer service job for
Drama, yeah.
yeah,
You're the HR department.
yeah.
So and so fed my bike to a sandworm. La la la. He
Yeah,
drove all my shit
it was
out to the
me. I get
desert.
it.
Yeah. No, that was the guild masters. We did that. We drove all your stuff out and dumped it. Welcome to the guild. Now
But
that whole
building a
access,
huge guild base sounds so fun.
they have some.
I would enjoy that, building giant halls and crafting areas and bike areas, ornithopter areas. Like, yeah, that would be a blast.
Dude, they had some. They had a competition for the beta testers prior to beta weekend, and they got to showcase their base, and they got to win a full version of the game. They picked winners, and some of the bases they built were huge, like the size of the outposts. You could land multiple ornithopters on them. They had doors that opened up that ornithopters could fly in. They
That's
had whole,
cool.
yeah. So there's definitely going to be some good base building in this as we go.
Well, if you're listening to this or watching it on Twitch, YouTube, leave a comment and we'll start forming a guild. That's how we'll do it to start.
Yeah, and then so for guild access too, another thing people said too is you can build a guild house, and then you can make the house accessible to the whole guild.
Mm-hmm.
But inside, what that'll allow is people can build their own boxes, and
Mm,
individually people can lock their own boxes to themselves. You can even attach your own door to it, so you have different bedrooms and stuff and different boxes and
mm,
stuff for people. So we could have like a joint communal living area. I'm probably also going to build like a
mm.
sporadic bunch of bases throughout the world for fun,
Yeah, I
which will
will.
be
Yeah.
maybe more private bases or just between me and my close friends. And
Yeah.
there'll be areas, but I won't open up to a guild. But I think having a big guild base would be kind of cool. So
It would just be a blast, man. I want to get out there and claim a spot on that first station, like right outside of it, and maybe put a guild. I don't know if you're allowed to have two or
in the
what,
Haga
but put it
Basin here.
yeah, put a guild base there so that you can do recruitment right as players join.
That's a good idea. Yeah,
Yeah.
and eventually build it so big you have like an ornithopter that flies in and out, and people be like, "Whoa, where'd you get that?"
Yeah.
So, like
Yeah, that
you
would be a
must
blast.
join guild, Atreides 69, something like
Definitely,
that.
yeah. Yeah, comment the guild name. Otherwise, it's a Trady 69. We're sticking with that.
Oh my gosh.
Well, do you want to cover anything else, or how far
I think we're good. We can wrap this one up. We'll shoot another episode really soon. So thank you to everybody who came by and watched it. Like we said, catch us out here. Dune Gaming 101 is going to be Twitch, YouTube, and then a podcast as well coming soon. So thank you all for joining us today, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.